been thinking a lot about time recently, and about our experience of time. Time is it's a strange thing. We can't control it, or conduct ourselves with any agency within it, unlike the other 3 dimensions of our existence. We can move left or right. We can walk forward and walk backward. We can throw a ball up in the air, or toss a stone into a pond and watch it sink. But time, well, time marches on. We can't control it. And unlike moving left or right, we don't even experience the 2 directions of time in the same way. You can remember what happened yesterday, but you can't remember what happens tomorrow. And you have the ability through your actions to shape the future, but the past is unalterable. We're forced to remember that which we can't change, and blind to that which we can. The past and the future are these infinite expanses, stretching out in front of us and behind us. But the present is perhaps as infinitely small as the past and future are vast. The merest blip of existence before it becomes the past and a new present replaces it. It's like an infinite array of dominoes being knocked over, one after another, endlessly and forever. And you and I, we exist in that knocking over, in that state change from what could be to what has been. And our whole reality, our experience of existence is entirely predicated on our experience of time. But we have such a limited understanding of it. We can only move forwards. We must move forwards. We are blown ceaselessly into the future, like Walter Benjamin's Angel of History. Our faces looking to the past, our backs to the future. We are forced to remember that which we can't change, and blind to that which we can. But so many things in this universe don't have the same experience of time that we do. Many laws of physics don't particularly care about the ceaseless directionality of time. I mentioned earlier the ability to throw a ball in the air. Imagine filming that ball. It leaves your hand, and immediately it starts to decelerate until, just for a moment, it hangs in midair. And then it falls back down into your hand. Now, run that video backwards, and what do you see? Your hand may look a little strange, but the ball's movement is exactly the same. And what does that tell us? It tells us that gravity doesn't really care about time. And in fact, like, all of Newtonian mechanics doesn't care about time. But there is one area of physics that cares about time, and that's heat. If you film an ice cube melting on a countertop in the sun on a hot day. And then you play that video backwards, you see something impossible. You see a chunk of ice forming out of a puddle of water. It's equilibrium. Soup cools, ice melts. We're always moving from warmer to cooler. Even the universe as a whole is moving towards equilibrium. It's called the heat death of the universe. But zooming back in for a moment, I think the things that I find interesting about time are linked, are related to what I find intrinsically satisfying about loops. This predictable repetition, it creates a space for me of contemplation. It collapses the past into the present moment. You're all experiencing this loop for the first time. I have sat with it for much longer. And for me, it's October 11th, and I'm making this synth part. And for me, it's Saturday afternoon, and I'm writing these words. And for me, it's Tuesday night, and I'm sharing these words and these sounds with all of you. Because time begins to collapse in memory, in repetition, and if you think about like when you recall a memory, you aren't transformed into the person that you were in that moment. You bring to that moment your present self, your experiences, your memories that follow after that memory. And you can seamlessly jump from one moment to another. I am 5. I am standing on a boardwalk. I am holding my mother's hand. I am 15. I am breaking my ankle as I trip down some stairs. I am 27. And I'm crying when my grandfather dies. I am 35. Remembering all of these moments. I mentioned gravity earlier, that it doesn't care about time. But what's interesting is that time seems to care about gravity. It is surmised that if you were to enter a black hole, you would stretch out into infinity, and time around you would seem to slow almost to a stop. And it turns out that the greater the gravitational pull, the slower time moves. We don't have a black hole nearby, but it does actually happen. We can measure it. The time passes at a different speed on top of a mountain versus standing on the beach. It's not much, we're talking fractions of a second here, but it is measurable. And so, my suggestion to all of you is that for the longest possible life, always live on the ground floor, at sea level if possible. And while that may not be helpful information, it at least makes me think that in moments when life seems to be going just a little too fast, if you just lay down, time will slow down for you just a little.